Hello everyone. In the last video we used numbers to work out our averages. Now we're going to draw a graph using this data, except all I'm going to use is this object column and this average column. So I'm actually not going to represent any of my test 1, 2 or 3 on my graph. So to insert a graph, we're going to go up the top to the little plus. We've got a few options to choose from. Hitting those 3 lines, we can see a little bit of a chart there. And I'm going to go down to this one. So although we're drawing a bit of a line graph, I'm actually going to go to this. This is called a scatter plot. So I'm going to go to the scatter plot. Comes up with nothing so far. That's alright, that's what I expect. I haven't selected anything. Tapping on once, we want edit references. So now that's asking what values do I actually want to put into my graph. So if I go up, right now it's selected that cell down the bottom because that's what I had selected before. We're not going to want that, so I'm just going to click on this blue dot up the top and it's going to say delete series. That's what I want. So how we select this, first I want to select my X values, so that's what's going to be along the horizontal part of our graph. So that's going to be our objects. So what I'm going to do, I can either select all of them, or I'm just going to click up the top in that little grey box and that's going to select everything for me. Now that says Y right now. I'm not concerned about that because as I select my Y values, which is going to be my averages, so same again, clicking up the top, if that changes to X, we've got our Y's and I'm happy. If I want to do more, then I'll just repeat this process by selecting a few other things. Happy with that, we're going to go to done, and then if I look at my graph down below, we can see the points have been plotted. I've got my scales done. I just need to add a few things to make this perfect. So I'm just going to drag this across. So if I want to edit my graph, again, we're going to go up to that little paintbrush. That's where we do our editing. And I'm going to start at the start. So first of all, for my graph, I'm not worried about a graph title, but my legend, I do want to get rid of that legend just because I've only got the one set of data, so I don't really need a legend. Now, to my y-axis, everything is generally okay. I'm going to add in a major grid lines just so I can see my grid. But then down below, we're going to add in our axis name. So that's really important. I want to include an axis name, and I'll fill that in a little bit later. Jumping across to my y-axis, same again. Our major grid line's already there, so we're happy. But for our y-axis, we're going to include both the axis name and the axis line. So as I hit the name, you'll see the name pop up on that left-hand side. And that line, we're going to see a line again on that left-hand side. And we're good to go. So we can just click away from that. Now I need to fill in my actual titles. So clicking on that as best we can. Usually double click gets it. So I want to change that to mass in grams because that's what my mass was. Done, happy with that. Clicking on my vertical one now. Again, double click usually does the job. So deleting all of that, and that will be my friction in newtons. Just being careful, I don't want newtons with an apostrophe, I just want what I typed in. And we're good to go. Now, last thing we're going to add in is a trend line. How I added a trend line on numbers, a little bit different. We're going to add a new element, and we're actually going to draw in a trend line ourselves using our shapes. So go into our shapes, picking our line. A line comes up, and I'm just going to move it to what I want. So I'm just going to shift it across so it starts around there-ish. Now, as I extend my line across, what I'm looking for is for my trend line to approximate our data. So I've got 3 points above, I've got 3 points below, it kind of goes through the middle. That's all I'm really after. So it shows me what's happening to our data. And there is our graph with all the information. I've got my points, I've got my axes with the titles, axes with the title, and my trend line. So that's how we can create our graph on numbers.